What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 20 of the Nightly Nonsense podcast. Your host is back. I'm leading the show again. I'm here with Dave and Chris. So, Chris, I know you were in and out of the conversation last week, but Dave and I kept it going when we were talking about Harbaugh to the Chargers, and I said I didn't necessarily love the hire. It wasn't the direction I would have gone. Now, obviously, a week from now, I've read like every article that tells me why Harbaugh is the best possible hire the Chargers could have made, that Justin Herbert can absolutely win a Super Bowl with Harbaugh, and now I've completely flipped my opinion, and I'm all in.
You're on the bandwagon?
Yeah.
I still hate him.
I'm all in.
Still hate him.
I love
that.
Do you think it's going to take time? Do you think it's going to be instant success? Do you think he's going to have to change some of the things he's done in the past, or do you think he can take everything he's done in college and apply it directly to the NFL?
So I think he'll obviously take from his experience when he was in the NFL with the 49ers. Michigan ran a pretty pro-style offense, so I think you can take a lot of it and apply it. But the thing that he's going to have to navigate is the Chargers are going into next year like $58 million over the cap already. So like some good players are going to have to get cut. Like people think
way over.
Like people think potentially Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joey Bosa, and Khalil Mack will all get cut.
Wow,
dude, that's crazy. How can you?
It's like, what are you working with at that point? But what is realistically going to happen is probably two of those four are going to have to go, which I think that would be Mike Williams and Joey Bosa. So, and then they said like there's some rearranging of salaries. There's things that they'd be able to do, but you're not going to have the same roster you had last year, which also wasn't a good roster clearly because you have the 5th overall pick in the draft. But either way, I was always in the mindset of like our defense is our biggest problem. We need a defensive-minded coach, but our last like 2 coaches have been defensive-minded. Because of that, this will be Justin Herbert's 4th offensive coordinator in 5 years, whereas Harbaugh will finally give the consistency and the ability to unlock Herbert's full potential where defensive-minded guys can.
Well, and as reported first by Nightly Nonsense last week, he brought his defensive coordinator from Michigan with him.
He did.
So, I think that guy will probably be pretty good. I think it's his first shot in the NFL, correct? Do you know? Have you read up on him?
That's correct.
Yeah, so it'll be his first shot in the NFL, so there's nothing to base whether or not the defense is going to have success on his experience necessarily, but he did a good job at Michigan. I think that it's good that Harbaugh's bringing one of his guys over with him. Offensive coordinator-wise, what are they doing there? Do you know?
They just got – it was like offensive – not the OC, but an offensive guy from the Eagles, I want to say.
Wow. If that's the case, then I feel like that could be pretty good for them too, because the Eagles have a great offense. So,
and I don't know. I'm sure Harbaugh was very specific about the guys they wanted to bring in. Like they just brought in, it was a guy from the Ravens as their new GM, and they had relationships because obviously his brother coaches the Ravens. Like he's being meticulous about the guys he's bringing in. So, like I said, I couldn't be more in.
I apologize if you've answered this before, but have you given background on why you're a Chargers fan? How that came to be?
I don't think he's ever given us that background.
I don't think I've given it on the podcast, no. So, obviously, when the Rams left, I was a free agent there for a little while. I thought I was dialed in on the Saints. I liked what the Saints were doing. I was going to move forward with them.
Right.
And then my first year of being a fan of them was when they were a pass interference call away from making it to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And I was like, I can't pick that good of a team right off the bat. I pride myself on like my fandom and not being that person that just picks a good team. So then I pivoted. And it was also a thing, that was part of it. And then it was also, it's so hard with the NFL because if you don't buy NFL Sunday ticket and the team's not in your market, like you can't watch them week over week. Like it was super easy for me to become a Liverpool fan when I started watching the Premier League because if their game isn't on live TV, I could always stream that game specifically on Peacock. Like I could always watch them. You build up a rapport with the players. You build up a rapport with the team. You feel like you get a little bit more of a – exactly. You get a little bit more of a connection when you can watch week after week. And then when I got Red Zone, even though I'm just getting bits and pieces, I'm still getting a little bit of that
You get a
team's
little bit of
game
everybody on
every
that.
week. And I like Herbert. They kind of play second fiddle to the Rams in LA. They're the other team in LA when I hate the primary team in LA. But really, it was Justin Herbert. I like him a lot.
Yeah,
so that's who
I like him a lot too.
That's just who I honed in on.
That's a great reason. That's all I need to hear. Do you want to know how
There was
much
also
of a
rumors at one point that they could come to St. Louis. So
yeah,
I can always
I feel like
use
I
that
heard
as a pipe
rumblings
dream.
about that.
That is true. Yeah, pipe dream. But
you were talking about Sunday Ticket and Red Zone. You know how much of a sicko I am. My preferred football watching style is the quad box with a Red Zone in one of the boxes. So 3 games and then Red Zone all the games.
Dude,
That's
that's
about as ADHD as you can get when it comes to watching football.
And when they have the quad box on Red Zone, you have 8 games going at one time.
Right.
And they have the Octo box.
Oh
the
my
Octo
God.
box.
What are we doing?
You won't even be able to see the players. It'll be so small though.
When
in
it's
your box.
Octo box, that's actually too much for me. Quad box is about as much as I can get.
The Octo box is usually only coming out in about the first 30 minutes of the broadcast.
It's literally just for kickoff usually.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, all games are kicking off simultaneously. We got the Octo box.
Yep.
God, that's
Dude,
exciting.
I love that guy though. That guy on there. What's his name?
Dream. Scott Hansen.
Scott
Yeah,
Hansen. He's like, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for another week of Red Zone, and I'm like injected in my veins.
He's even just listening to countdown music. I mean, it's just a revolution. It's a revolutionary product. They care about their fans. They know what their fans want. I will say,
were you guys watching last year when the fire alarm went off in the building and he just powered through?
He's like, you guys are. I'm going nowhere. I promised you commercial-free football, and you're getting commercial-free football.
This guy's a legend.
I don't know if it's a legal loophole because they say commercial, but I have noticed a couple ads sneaking in there where they'll put kind of an outline box around a video and it'll have an ad in there, and I'm like, all right, it might not be a commercial, but that's an ad, and that's a slippery slope.
I know. Well,
you're playing a dangerous game, Scott Hansen.
I feel like they're doing that in all sports now, though, where it's like during a 30-second timeout,
eye on the field,
keep the game up, right. And then they keep the box up there, but then now they're running commercials simultaneously. I'm like, we're getting commercials during games now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
People that work in advertising are the worst.
Well,
honestly.
Yeah, boys, you guys suck.
Hey, I'm not advertising.
I'm in marketing. I'm in marketing.
It's different.
But
it's not the same. It's different.
It's time for me to dish some out.
Different.
Everyone always hates on the lawyers, so it's time for me to dish out some hate.
There you go. So we're going to continue the coach talk a little bit because I want your guys' opinion, and I want to see if you can give me a good comparison. So I mentioned Liverpool earlier. It was last week, just in the middle of the week, Liverpool's head coach just randomly announced that it was going to be his last season coaching Liverpool. He said he doesn't have the energy anymore. He's going to step away from a year for at least a year. He said he'll never coach in the Premier League again if it ever comes back. But we're in first place in the Premier League. We're playing in a championship game for one of the midseason tournaments. Next week, I believe, we're still in the hunt for another one of the tournament. We're competing for 4 trophies right now. And in the middle of the season, he's like, hey, I'm leaving.
Yeah, good.
And there were some fan quotes. I read an athletic article and they interviewed fans, and one of the fans said, it's like someone died. Someone said it ruined my day. Someone said my heart is broken. So is there any coach in any of the big sports in America that you think would get this reaction from the fan base?
Dude, I got an example right off the top of my head, and it just happened, really. I mean, Nick Saban, when he announced that, everyone was like, the world's ending. Alabama fans were distraught because they didn't see it coming. There was not even a rumbling that he was going to be retiring, really, at this point.
I don't agree with that because just that last part, I don't disagree that that's how people in Tuscaloosa reacted, but they were even talking about on local radio here that they wouldn't be surprised if Saban stepped away after this season.
Yeah, but everyone thought he was going to do it after going out on top. and not now. Like a lot of the context I heard was, or a lot of the comments, I mean, that I heard were like, I'm shocked that he did it right now, not winning it to end his career. Which, I mean, a lot of guys could hang around forever if they were waiting to win again, but it is Nick
Yeah.
Saban, so he wins and has a shot at winning just about every year. So I feel like that would be my comparison. I mean, another comparison would have to be somebody who announced that they were leaving
I
mid-succession.
think that's the big thing. It would be like if which it would be like if Harbaugh in the middle of the season with Michigan being undefeated was just like, I'm out.
Yeah, totally. Or if Nick Saban would have announced it like after week 6.
I think that's what's really throwing it is like, because he had 2 more years. He had this season, then 1 more full season, I believe, left on his contract. And like it just out of nowhere, he did like an interview and was like, "Yeah, I'm walking away after this season."
Did Mike Krzyzewski do that when he was at Duke? I think he did, didn't he? He like
I don't know
announced
if
like after their non-conference schedule the year he was.
Yeah, he might have done it mid-season, but even like him, I feel like it was almost kind of different because he was like collapsing on the sideline. So I think people were like, "Yeah, this dude probably needs to walk away."
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I hear you. I don't think, to answer, I guess, your question then from like an exact comparison, I don't think there is one in the middle of the season.
I think Saban would be a good one. And like, I was trying to think like I feel like in New England, Belichick walking, like, well, he got fired, but like
he got fired, yeah.
Belichick leaving because he was ending on a low note, people weren't as upset about it.
No, yeah, exactly.
I think the only way you get
ahead,
this
Chris.
reaction from a head coach is that, like today would be like if Pete Carroll just actually died. Like that's what this reaction would be like. It's like my heart is broken. It ruined my day. Like
we're just gonna kill
it's
him.
like someone
Vote him off the
died.
island.
I'm unwell.
I just feel like
it's like no.
I just feel like in like in our popular sports, the coach just doesn't have the allure.
No, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, so is soccer the head coach position? Is it more long term? Because I feel like football is pretty cutthroat. Like, if you have a bad year, you're out.
You're done. Yeah.
It depends. You see it. There's definitely coach turnover, but like since I've been a Liverpool fan, which was 2013.
Mm-hmm.
We've had 2 coaches.
Yeah.
So like that's 11 years now and just 2 coaches over 11 years. Whereas I feel like they give coaches a little more time to build up because in soccer, like, football is very similar. Baseball, not so much at all, but like coaches have like very different tactics. Like you could have one coach that plays more defensive, so he has 5 in the back line. One who plays more attacking, so he only has 3 in the back. So like it takes him a little bit to get their system going and then get the right players in the system. So they give them a little bit more time to succeed, thus also giving them more time to fail.
They're also relying on fewer people, and those people have to be more dynamic in what they can do. Whereas, like, you know, if you have a pass rusher, they just have to be good at pass rushing. Whereas your defense has to be good at clearing the ball. It has to be good at, keeping people, onside. It's got to be good at actual defense inside the box. It's got to be good at crosses. It's got to be good at all kinds of stuff. So I think that does make sense. It just takes more time to institute change.
I think like this kind of response would be like if in Super Bowl media day, Patrick Mahomes just like win or lose, I'm retiring.
Yeah, I mean he's really young still, but yeah,
Kelsey,
yeah,
maybe.
no, that may happen. I wouldn't be shocked if he retires, but I think on a very like localized example to where like for us in St. Louis, like. It was kind of crazy with Craig Berube in hockey recently when he got fired. Now, we're in the middle of a bad season, but he got fired, and the local sports talk radio did a poll of the fans, and 96% said we disagree with the firing of Craig Berube. And people were acting like that was like the end of the world with that firing. Now a month and a half later, they did another poll on The Athletic like last week, and it's down to like 61% of people think it was a bad firing. Because I think in sports, and this is where I'm kind of getting at, with sports, people move on quickly. So it's like, with this guy leaving Liverpool, with the coach leaving, everyone's freaking out now. But if the new guy comes in next season and has any ounce of success to start the year, or has equal success, then fans are going to quickly move on and forget about it. I mean, that's just kind of how sports, I feel like.
See, I don't think it's that so much with soccer, though, because, like, how many people, how many tweets did I feel like I saw when Berube got fired? Everyone's like, all right, now looking forward to Cardinals season. Like, they only have their soccer team, so it's like a lot bigger. But I don't disagree. Like, I think people are still going to be like, we miss Klopp, but if the next coach comes in and we're like still an elite team, they're not going to miss him as much because we're still good.
Well, and it's a double-edged sword too. So if the next guy comes in, so if he does well, then people may be able to move on quickly. If he comes in and he sucks and the team's trash, then the only thing people are going to be talking about is how they wish they had the old coach. I mean, and that would happen. I feel like that happens all the time. And you look at like people like the Caleb DeBoer, who has to follow Nick Saban at Alabama. Like, if that guy doesn't take them to the playoff this upcoming college football season, then all people are going to be saying is, we want Nick Saban back.
Yep.
So that's kind of what happens if what happens if you follow the coach that everyone loves.
Yeah, but it's a tough business.
It is interesting though, like how coaching trees like kind of develop and how different people will bring kind of different ideologies to new teams and build off of kind of what they were exposed to before and things like that. I think that is pretty interesting how some of those things turn out.
Dude, literally today I saw a video and it was talking about, it was whatever year it was when RG3 and Kirk Cousins were on the Redskins at the same time. And it was like, they went through all of the coaches that were on that Redskins coaching staff. And it was Kyle Shanahan. It was Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins coach, Sean McVay.
Yep.
It was like 5 current head coaches in the NFL were on that coaching staff, and the Redskins were 3-13. But like now these are some of like the best coaches in the NFL. Yeah. It's like, how is this team that bad? Where then it must have just been the players stunk,
but still, it's just wild.
But then it's crazy how you look at like Belichick's coaching tree and like nobody has gone off to have success on their own.
Right, because it was like a dying branch or a dying tree, I guess, from the start. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, people. We're going to be a little sports heavy this week. That's just how it's going to be. But Dave, talk to me about what's going on in the world of golf.
Yeah, so this is big news in golf and big for the PGA Tour and trying to kind of get back some of the pizzazz after all the live golf situation over the last couple of years. So today, I guess we're recording on Wednesday. So there was a major announcement that this group called the Strategic Sports Group invested $3 billion into the PGA Tour today.
3B?
$3 billion.
3 whole B's?
3 whole billion, and 1.5 billion of that, half of it, is going to a player equity like deal. So players that are on the PGA Tour are going to have equity in the tour itself, so they have like an ownership, interest in it. And it's a way to try to keep players in the PGA Tour and not leave to go to live. It's kind of their response to live golf, I guess you could say. And this ownership group is wild. I mean, it's very unexpected, group of people, but it's Fenway Sports Group. So John Henry, who owns the Red Sox, and then obviously they own Liverpool as well. And Steve Cohen, who owns the New York Mets, and Ricketts, the family that owns the Cubs, and then some hedge fund investors all came together to make the Strategic Sports Group and invest in golf to bolster the PGA Tour. So some of the comments that have come out right away. Like Jordan Spieth said, this was a big step. Bless you. Big
Thank you.
step towards unifying golf back with Live, because they think that this is going to make their sales pitch to the Saudi Arabian group who owns Live more appealing, I guess you could say, to kind of rejoin the two. And if they do rejoin, the amount of money that's going to be in the tour is going to be insane. Because
if they came together, what would that look like? Like, has there been any talk about like what a joint venture would look like?
Yeah, so they had a deadline of December the 31st, but it's one of those like arbitrary deadlines that they keep extending to reach an agreement with the Saudi
like
Arabian
getting new
group.
license plates.
Or the debt ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. Great comparison. So how it would look is, I mean, it would be a more back to what we have always known for PGA golf, like where there's going to be weekly events and all that stuff. But that's part of what the holdup is they don't know how it would necessarily look, because the Live guys don't love the length of the season and the requirements that you have to put forth to play on the tour and all that. And so that's the part that they're still trying to work through. So to answer your question, nobody really knows what it'll look like, but more team events, most likely, more big, like major style events with big purses and things like that is most likely what it would look like. But
so that kind of answers a question that I had, and this might be a hot take, but I feel like money was enough to make them leave, but I don't think money alone will be enough to get them back, if that makes sense. Like, no. I think they were frustrated with a lot of other things. I think they're frustrated about having to play in Silvis, Illinois, and having to play in some of these places that are, not premier locations, and that, they are away from their families for a long time. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have the solution. But what I would say would be a good start is like the majors and the big ones need to stay the same, right? And we want that talent back in the fields, because we all love that. Every golfer loves that for sure. The majors are perfect the way they are. It's the lesser known tournaments. It's like the Sony Open, which Sony Open is okay to watch, but it's just like, it's these lesser tournaments where either there wasn't enough requirement to get a lot of talent there, or all the talent took off that week because they didn't want to go to this terrible location. Those weeks, I think, is where Live can come in and fill the gaps, and you can do something like a tournament, like a team-based event, or a more like skills-based event, or whatever it is. Like, I would be more so inclined to tune in and watch that than I would be to watch 72 holes of the Sony Open and just watch a putting contest, essentially. So,
well, and I think that's kind of what the PGA tried to do last year by they made that like secondary, like I forgot what they exactly called them, but it was almost like a group of 8 tournaments that were not majors, where they upped the prizes, and it was some of the more like popular tournaments. So like the Waste Management was one of those, where it went from a tournament that guys wanted to go play at because it was in Scottsdale and it was fun and it was different, to it's all of those things. Plus now, if you win, you're going to get paid a ton of money also.
Which is how it always should be.
Yeah. And I agree with you 100% that I don't think money's going to bring them back. But I think that if there's a merger, they're not going to really have a choice on quote unquote coming back, because it's all going to be one league, I guess, at that point. So it's what they're trying to shoot for.
Do you think this could happen in other sports? Like, do you think if if the Korean Baseball League all of a sudden just started offering guys crazy money, and I don't know what the Korean Baseball League season is, but a lot of baseball players complain that it's 162 games in a season. Like, it was like, hey, you can come over here, we'll pay you $750 million, and it's an 80-game season. Do you actually think guys would leave Major League Baseball?
I think an 80-game season is very different than the Live schedule that they commit to. So like 80 games, you couldn't really be traveling back and forth. You'd have to live over there.
Totally. But, I mean, the NFL, or not the NFL, football has tried it multiple times, not with the new like XFL and USFL, and I guess the new one's called the UFL. But like in the 90s and 80s, like Donald Trump made that one league that like didn't Herschel Walker play in it or something
Yep.
straight up? So like they've tried it in football and it's never worked in football. So for the NFL or for professional football, I think no chance because there's not another league that has anywhere near the
But if we're talking
juice.
about it from like a hypothetical standpoint, like I don't think those past comparisons have had the bankroll that Liv has. I mean, it's just outrageous. They can
That's
just
because like
throw anything. So
Yeah.
like I do think it could be successful. Like if Liv wanted to start a baseball spinoff and they were going to offer players $300 million to come over there and play 80 games, I think people would go.
Yeah, I mean, you would. I think that if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be the same people that are doing Live. I think the Saudi
It would-
Arabians have endless amounts of money.
But it's
Right.
like you said, Chris, it's a crazy hypothetical, but like
Right.
you would have to get enough players on a team to field like at least like 10 baseball teams. Like it's a completely different concept. I was just curious because like these guys come, like when they join Live, they come on like talk about like how Live's changing the game and doing all these things. But like really what it boils down to is if Liv was paying them the same money they made on the PGA, but were doing the things that they still are allowed, like Liv rules, but PGA money, like they wouldn't be going to Liv. It really does come down to money, but like you said, it's not money's not going to be the thing to bring them back because now they have the upper hand, so they're going to want to be able to change the things that
Right.
They,
They
can't
want
change.
now they feel like, all right, if I'm going to come back and do this, I need these things fixed, which to
I
some
need
extent, I
shorts at
think,
tournaments.
yeah, I think some of the things that they are being like a little bit like, you know, we can complain about how long Patrick Cantley takes to play, but at the end of the day, like people play with slow golfers all the time. Like, suck it up and deal with it. You're being paid millions of dollars. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I agree with that. But I think what Liv did well is that they were able to pay big names to come over there. Now, despite that, they still don't have a good TV deal. What?
I think what Liv did well is they just had a lot of money when they started. Is essentially what you just
Totally.
said. Yeah.
Exactly. That's
So
exactly
great-
what it is.
Great job on having lots of money.
Well, that's exactly what
To
it
the
is.
point that
because
you were
they-
making though is like they got some big names from the PGA is what you were trying to say.
Yeah, they got big names, but despite that, they have no good sponsorships. They have no good TV placement. You have to watch on streaming on livegolf.com or occasionally on the CW network if you even have that on your TV. So, like, they may have
Garbage
a good
TV
product.
shows come out of the CW.
Exactly. Like, they may have good golfers, good players, quote
But their
unquote.
product isn't there
You
yet.
can't. No, their product's not there.
How
You can't
many
watch it.
hours of live golf have you consumed?
I actually, this is a God's honest truth. I don't even know how to watch it. I don't even know where I would go to
I have
watch
watched 0 minutes of live golf.
I'll tell you my answer. So I watched 4 minutes probably on the CW last year, and I turned it on, and I hated the whole like presentation of it. Like they had like a thing on the right side that looked like F1 racing, and listed everybody that was playing in the tournament, and like someone made a putt, so then they like moved up. They moved up, and I'm like watching this, and I was like, this is. And they all have these teams, and they have these dumb like uniforms that they were wearing, and I'm like, this is awful. So I turned it off. What?
That's what makes me think that the game plan all along has been to get back in bed with the PGA after they kind of got some leverage in their pocket because they just did not buy into the broadcast side of the whole thing.
They're not trying at all to actually make a good product.
Right, and that's how that's how they would make money. Otherwise, like I really don't even know how they could be making money right now besides sponsors, but like nobody's watching them.
Yeah.
There's just
and they don't even really have any sponsors. They don't have sponsors because no one wants to touch the quote unquote dirty money.
So interesting.
It is.
I'll go over there and be their head of programming. That'd be a sick job.
That would be.
I could clean that. I clean that act up in a little bit.
Yeah, but like also if you think about where they're playing too, like some of the level of the golf courses is nothing compared to the PGA Tour. Like they're like nice private clubs from time to time, but like we passed. So I put this in the, or I told you guys before this, but when Adam, at your bachelor party, when we went to Playa del Carmen in Mexico, we drove past the tournament location for this weekend's live tournament, and it was not in a desirable neighborhood, to say the least.
Well, I mean, you literally, like, you got on here and we were just talking about, like, the show notes before we even started recording, and we were like, Chris and I both were like, where was it?
Yeah.
Like,
You
I
couldn't
feel
even
like
remember.
I feel like a PGA Tour caliber course, if I drove past it in Mexico, I would recognize it. I would.
Well, to
Exactly.
be fair, a lot of that stuff is like you have to drive like 6 miles in once you get off the. It just looks like bush, and like you're driving into
Yeah,
like
that's
nothing,
true.
but it's like 6 miles,
Bush.
and then
Just-
once you're in the
it just
bush,
looks
that's
like
when you
bush.
find it.
Yeah, once you're in there,
Once you get into the thick of
You
it.
just have
I'm gonna
to.
have to look it up because I still like. Obviously, I can't picture it because you get to that main strip and it's just resorts on your left and right. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting.
It is interesting. And I think, Chris, you were spot on. I think they did what they wanted to do. They left, they took good golfers, they got leverage, and now they're trying to get back in with the PGA, and they'll hit their
Smart business,
jackpot.
honestly.
Honestly,
Sound business practice.
Exactly.
But no,
Good
with
stuff.
we were talking dirty money, and that leads us perfectly into Chris's conspiracy corner this week. So, Chris, why don't you lay the groundwork for us?
Well, the question is the NFL actually rigged? I don't know.
And I presented the question. I presented the question to you because, and here's my basis, and then you can give your thoughts on it. So
Sure.
I think the NFL is one of the dirtiest businesses in the land. We saw it with the Rams leaving and the lawsuit that followed and all of the shenanigans that went on behind closed doors to pretty much force the team out of St. Louis while making St. Louis look like a terrible place. But I saw the figures this week, and the NFL and the Chiefs have made $330 million off of Taylor Swift being at Chiefs games, and the revenue from that and the products that have, like all of the gear and the apparel, the Chiefs stuff that's all been sold, and the TV revenue, all that, whatever figures go into that. It was over $300 million.
Yeah.
And from a monetary business standpoint, if she's brought in $330 million to the Chiefs in the NFL for regular season games and a couple playoff games, how much money is she going to bring in when it comes time for the biggest moneymaker of them all, the Super Bowl?
How is she bringing in this money?
Her appearance there. So
How?
people, and it goes back to it's easy. It goes back to what we talked about when this first happened. People who didn't watch the NFL, girls from age 12 through 35, and did not care about the NFL, are now watching the NFL and buying Chiefs stuff because Taylor Swift placed. She doesn't play for the Chiefs.
Now that'd be a moneymaker.
I know. She is dating a Chiefs player. So that's what it is. The sales that result from her being a fan of a team that did not have that, and tapping into a market that didn't watch football before.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
I mean,
Go
yeah,
ahead,
it's
Adam.
crazy what she's doing for the NFL, but like, I also think it has something to do with the fact that you could say what you want if you think that they picked Travis Kelce for her to date on purpose, but like, if Taylor Swift was dating Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think too many girls would be tuning in to watch the Raiders games because they're not exciting. Like, the Chiefs are a good team, and then one of their players just happens to be dating Taylor Swift.
Dude, I'm not, because
Good
I don't.
point.
I agree with you. Like, I
Well,
don't.
let me
buy it.
ask you
I don't.
this. What do you think the revenue would be if Travis Kelce was dating Sexy Red?
Not anywhere near the same. It's
Nowhere
because Taylor
close?
Swift
No, Taylor
Nowhere.
Swift is like the most famous person on the planet right now.
Exactly. So, I may have know where you were trying to go with that, but it's because Taylor Swift is
It's because of who Taylor Swift is. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like in the Super Bowl, they're playing the 49ers, and like Christian McCaffrey's wife is like kind of famous, and I bet you neither of you can even give me her name.
I don't know her name.
I
know
could probably identify her in a lineup, though.
So yeah, it's like just because of Taylor Swift is just the biggest star in the world.
Okay, well
here's
then,
a good comparison. Here's a good comparison because Simone Biles got all mad about it, or not mad, but there was a lot of talk about it. Not necessarily her being mad, but she's dating a guy that plays for the Packers and has been for years. He's from St. Louis. He's like the safety or something.
Yep,
and no
they're
one really
married,
even,
I believe.
Yeah, so no one exactly. So no one really even knew who they were, and I would say Simone Biles is a pretty famous athlete in the sports world. But no one cared about that.
Yeah, it's just because nobody has a cult following like Taylor Swift has. Like,
exactly.
Tony Romo, he dated Carrie Underwood at one point. He dated Jessica Simpson at one point. And, like, I vividly remember those. And we were pretty young during Tony Romo's, like, peak of his career. But, like, I remember that. And they showed them during games. But Carrie Underwood and Jessica Simpson don't have this cult following like Taylor Swift has. Like, I think if Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce broke up and she started dating Robert Thomas on the Blues, then it would have this same exact instant reaction.
Totally.
It's almost a perfect storm of a cult following, but also a cult that's not already engaged in football. But my question to that would be like, well, I'll tell you what, if in the next 3 years, somehow one of the NFL players start dating the most famous K-pop singer or the most famous person in China
Honestly,
or Japan,
that is a super good comparison because like Lars Nootbaar for the St. Louis Cardinals, his mom is Japanese, so he played for Team Japan in the World Baseball Classic. And he is one of 2 players in all of Major League Baseball. And I don't even know if I would say Lars Nootbaar is a top 100 player in the sport of baseball. And he is one of 2 players with over 1 million followers on Instagram, all because of how big he blew up in the Japanese market.
He's the GQ Man of the Year in Japan.
It's just like potential.
That's like a huge point. Like, you just need to find...
Point.
Right.
I mean, market.
Right. You think about Carrie Underwood. A lot of her fans
Goodell, get on the phone.
Are for the most part, probably, somewhat already football fans. If you just think about her demographic, like,
yeah.
But it's just that untapped
Honestly,
market.
Some of
so
Carrie
it's like
Underwood's biggest fans are probably men.
Yeah. Any like, probably true.
Big fan.
So it's like, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, is it really the fact that it's Taylor Swift, or is it just the fact that that was an untapped market that now was like, oh, this is kind of fun. We're getting all this attention, and we know that the boys also hate it, so we're gonna like it even more.
Yeah, and it's also like
just explodes.
This isn't going to be sustainable,
right?
Like, next year, there's not a new wave of Taylor Swift fans that are going to start buying Travis Kelce jerseys.
Right.
It's not like they're like, ooh, I need to get a 2024 Travis Kelce jersey. Like, this is really just like a 1-year bump.
Well, this is
really
classic,
what they need is
Taylor
and Travis to break up and her to start dating a new NFL player. So then those jersey sales, then those games.
This is just striking while the iron's hot.
Yeah, I mean, let's say next year Travis Kelce changes his name to his number to 13. I'll throw up in my mouth, first of all. Second of all, those jersey sales are going to go through the roof. They're probably going to be all-time record high jersey sales. And it's just like you combine this very committed fan base to that as well.
So then if come next year, if Travis Kelce does change his jersey number, then we can sit here and have a conversation that the NFL might be rigged.
Yeah,
there are some red flags.
To be fair, I do think all sports are kind of rigged a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
I think there's some gray
wiggle room,
areas,
and then
and all. Like, you see it in soccer a ton that like they're definitely partial to certain teams. Like, good teams get the calls that bad teams don't get.
It's the Tom Brady roughing the passer,
Like, Chiefs fans would disagree, but like they are on the right side of calls more times than they are not. But like that, like Ravens fans want to talk about the Chiefs getting the calls. Like there was a blatant pass interference that they didn't call. People wanted the Chiefs to win, but like I don't look back at the Chiefs-Ravens games and say that the refs are the reason why the Ravens lost that football
there's a
game.
couple things that stick out to me still that were just like I was screaming at the TV. I was like, that's wrong.
Oh, for sure, but like the Ravens were still playing horribly, and at no point was I confident that they were going to win that football game.
Correct.
But I do think sometimes they do stack the odds in some teams.
For sure. I mean, Lamar could get obliterated in the pocket and not ever get a call on him, and then Patrick Mahomes gets breathed on, and he's going to get a roughing the passer call. Like, that's just a fact. He's worth more money.
But a lot of that too, I have noticed, is you could have two people who's a fan of each team watching the same game, and they're going to complain about the refs. It is the same with the commentators.
No,
people,
for sure.
People subconsciously have a bias while watching the game, or consciously, and immediately are going to side with their team or say that every call against their team is terrible and every call for the other team's terrible. And same with the commentators.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know what that reminds me of, though, is our conversation last week about the news and politics. You just go into it, and people today just want to be affirmed. Their thought, they just want their thoughts to be affirmed.
Yeah.
It's just comforting for them. So like that's why teams have their own individual broadcast with their own announcers and things like that. Like people, that's what you want to hear. You don't want to hear someone calling the game for the other team. Like I get that, but well, I don't know. Do you think there's ever a world that like we kind of convert to a little bit of a Hunger Games style government, but it's football based? And so it's like the districts, but it's like it's just diehard district fans, and like basically the teams play each other for superiority. Yeah, no, not to the death, but maybe
Isn't
one or
that
two.
what sports isn't that like college football already?
Yeah.
For example, I feel like college football is that way more than any other sport. Because you have like states, like you play for your state or you play for, your school, and it's, well, obviously you play for your school, but it's like school or state, like pride, or in college football, conference pride is out of control these days, which I've spent a lot of time on this podcast talking about. But like, I feel like that's the example of what you're going for there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
like
just
it's
throwing
so
out
much
ideas.
more
I'm
than
just brainstorming. I don't know. I don't have the answers.
Yeah, no, I don't either. But I'm just, that's my thought.
All right, let's learn some sports.
Give it to us, Dave.
All right, so this week we're going to talk sports, and
That's all we're doing.
We're just heavy on sports this week. So, speaking of, we talked a lot about golf earlier, and we're doing a quiz like we always do here, and on Let's Learn Sports. So, we're going to do most tournament wins.
Fanatics.
Yeah, this is brought to you by Fanatics for all your sports gear, all of your sports apparel. If you want to buy something for your favorite college team, your favorite NFL team,
Your favorite district.
Your charge. Exactly. Go to fanatics.com. So for golf this week, we're going to do most tournament wins on the PGA Tour, and we're going to do the top 5 most wins
Ever.
Hideki Matsuyama, number 1.
You want to lock that in?
Lock it. No.
So we're doing top 5 all time. It's going to be tough because there's a couple names on here that are lesser known for sure, but not lesser known. They're just old. There's your first hint. But top 5 PGA Tour wins all time. Let's get it started. And I'll tell you that first place there's a tie.
Okay.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
All right, lock that in. That's one of the two that's tied for first.
All right, Jack
82 wins.
Nicklaus.
Yak Nicolas.
All right, lock that in. That's number 3. Jack
We'll lock
Nicklaus
in
has 73.
We'll lock in Ben Hogan.
Adam?
Yep.
All right, we'll lock him in at number 4 at 64.
We'll lock in Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do we feel about Arnie Palmy?
Okay,
That's a lot.
we'll lock him in at number 5.
Okay, so
With
who's tied
62.
for first?
Who's tied for first with Tiger Woods? First of all, Chris, that was.
Oh, I got it. Lock in Billy Horschel.
Can I buy a vowel? Okay,
That's
so we got Tigre, we got Nicholas, we got Hogan, and we got
I know who it is.
Palmer.
You know who it is?
I do.
How do you know? Okay, who?
Huh? You want me to go?
Who is it? Yeah, go.
Adam, you cool with me locking in my answer?
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Will this be our first no X's?
This will be in record speed.
Record time. Give
I will
it to
lock
me.
in Mr. Sam Snead.
That's the answer. Number 1.
I know.
Chris, you
Give me a sport I know, bro. Give me a sport I know, and
I
I'm
know.
nails.
I wanted to give. That was crazy. I mean, do you think you can? That was record.
I think I could
speed.
probably
You
get
could-
numbers too. No, I can't. I know Tiger has 83,
82. So him and Sam.
so
Snead
him and Sam have 82.
And then Nicholas was 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the rest of them are in the
The
70s. I don't
speed
think
on
the rest.
that.
I don't think anybody else is even in the 80s.
That's no one else is in the 80s. That part's
Okay,
true.
I knew that. Are you testing me? I don't know the rest
Yeah.
of these.
Okay. Jack
you know
Nicklaus is
who has
73.
an active player has the most?
Uh,
Like what
Phil.
active tour member?
Phil. Well, I don't know if you
Phil.
count him as active anymore, but it would be Phil probably.
Well, if you, I mean, this list still considers that I have pulled up here considers Tiger Woods active, but not Phil Mickelson
Yeah.
since he's on the live. On live. So Tiger would be number 1 on active, and then second place is tied for 26th on the list with 24 tour wins.
VJ is
You know
probably
that.
pretty high up there. VJ is probably in top 20, top
Yeah,
15 maybe.
He's number 14.
Who's that active guy? Who's old on the tour right now?
He's not old, I'll tell you that.
Not old.
Nope.
And it's got 23 wins.
24, yeah. Come on. Think about it.
Oh, well,
Take a sec.
I don't want to sound stupid here, so let me think about it for a second.
I don't think you can after that performance you just put on.
Well, I could for sure if I say someone who's not even close.
And I'll tell you right now, he's the only guy in the top 50 that's active. And I don't have
I mean, are we?
anybody else.
It's got. Is it Scotty?
Nope. Scotty's too young.
That's what I thought. That's why I didn't
I'm
want to
trying
sound
to think
stupid.
who's like
Well,
not
here's
old,
what-
but not one of the young guys is who I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll give you that Dustin Johnson's tied with him, so he's not considered active because he's on live.
Yeah. Okay.
So him and Dustin Johnson are tied
Oh.
at 24.
Adam Scott.
No, it's Rory.
It is Rory.
22, 21,
24.
That is obvious.
24.
24. Troy. So that's the only active guy other than Tiger Woods in the top 50 on the tour. Then you got Phil and Dustin who are both
How
on
about
live.
that? So much parity
good.
in the game of golf right now. You love to see it.
You
Yeah.
love to see that. So anyway,
And we were
that was
quick.
Let's Learn Sports.
Let's Learn
Learn
Battle.
Sports.
Yeah,
brought to you by
that was the
Banana.
most quick and efficient Let's Learn Sports. I freaking love that.
That was unbelievable.
And now, folks, we're going to get into the lyric battle. Bum, bum, bum. Brought to you by SeatGeek for all your ticketing needs. You need to see a sporting event, you need to go to a concert, comedy show, whatever you need except for the movies, SeatGeek has you.
But maybe
So
a
last week, David gave me the clean sweep. So I'm sitting at 8, Chris is sitting at 8, Dave is sitting at 7. I will be picking the songs this week. We're gonna get right into it. So, Dave, as the King's Court, would you like to defer or would you like to go first?
I'll defer.
Okay. I'm really testing your guys. I feel like I'm testing your guys' music knowledge this week. We're
Okay.
going to see how diverse of music you listen to.
Good.
All right.
Dave, you said you want first?
No, I'm going to defer.
You're deferring, so to Chris. All right, so your first word is it's.
It's my party and I cry if I want to. Cry if I want to.
No, but good song.
All right.
Good song. Good song, Chris.
Dave, it's a.
It's a. I'll pass.
Okay. Chris, it's a new.
Long silences.
Pass.
He's locked in.
I know.
Dave, it's a new day.
It's a new day. It's a new dawn. It's a new life.
Nope.
And I'm feeling good. Nope. Okay.
Nope. Chris, it's a new day, but.
Pass. I think I know it though.
Dave, it's a new day, but it.
But it?
It.
Pass.
Chris, it's a new day, but it all feels.
Oh, you gave him two.
Oh, but it all, sorry.
But it all feels. I want another one after feels.
You'll get another one after feels.
Pass. Fuck.
It's a new day, but it all feels old.
I know it. I know it, but I don't know. Pass.
I told you I'm testing.
I
you guys.
know the song.
I know it too,
that.
Dave. I know it too.
Right.
So this is really just going to come down to like one line.
Chris, it's a new day, but it all feels old. It's.
Pass.
Dave, it's a new day, but it all feels old. It's a.
How does it go? How does it go? At the beginning of the. I don't know how it goes at the beginning. Like, I know the words. It's a new day.
Yeah, I'm giving you a lot of
It
them.
all feels old. It's a good life. I gotta pass. I mean, I know the song.
Dave, what's the last word I gave you?
It's a new day, but it all feels old. It's a good life. It's a.
A is the last word I gave you.
Yeah.
Then, Chris, it's a new day, but it all feels old. It's a good.
For some reason, the Zoe 101 theme song is stuck in my head. It's a perfect day. Nothing
standing in my
I
way.
can't get it out of my head now. But I also know what the song is. I can't think of how it goes, though. I'm dying. Okay, so what was the last word you gave me? It's a new
Good.
day. It's a new day. But it'd pass.
Dave, It's a new day, but it all feels old. It's a good life.
I knew it. That's what I said a minute ago.
You feeling good, Chris?
Yeah, I fucking finally got it. Wait, I just lost it. Hold on. Fuck.
I don't know the words, so I can't say. I mean, I know the song. I know the name of the song, but
Do you know song and artist? Because we've been given points
No,
for that.
no, because I got this, motherfucker.
no, I do, but I don't know how it goes. Or like, I don't know that part of the song. I've like sound. I don't know the next line after "It's a Good Life." So I mean, it's. I know the name of the artist, but if you're not going to give it to me, Chris, then
Well, I knew that 3 words ago. You gotta. I feel like you gotta be able to sing just a
the
little
next
bit
line.
of it. No, it doesn't have to
Okay.
be the next line. You could even sing the chorus of it, or any snippet of it.
Well, and then
Because
I wanna
that's
be
how you know the song.
you.
As soon as you
I
know
want to
like a
be
part of
just like you. Isn't that it?
Keep going.
You.
Yeah.
I want to be just like you.
But I'm
That's the
saying
song.
this is
Yeah.
Yeah,
get
that's
a
it.
real job, a university.
It's the anthem by Good
Yeah.
Charlotte.
It is. It's a new day, but it all
No, no,
feels
no.
old. It's a good life. That's what I'm told.
I didn't know the
But
next line.
everything, it all just feels the same.
And I didn't know the next line, but I knew the chorus. I just sang it.
Am I school? More like a
It felt more to
penitentiary.
me like a jail cell. A
That's what I was
penitentiary.
doing. I'm like,
Penitentiary.
did you not hear me a couple words ago? I was like,
You had the beat.
yeah. Yeah. One. I'm
All
tied.
right. We got a 3-way tie at the top, folks.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
We might have to iron out some of these rules.
I don't think this one's gonna take you guys as long.
Okay.
All right. So Dave, you're first.
Yep.
They.
They. I'll pass.
Chris. They told.
Pass.
Dave. They told him.
They told him. They told him, don't you ever come around here. He'll want to disappear. That's Beat It by Michael Jackson.
It is. It is.
And fire in the heart, and you'll never be again. So
Just
beat it. Just beat it. Beat it.
That is correct.
Beat it. Whoa. I was all over that one. They told him, don't you ever come
I will say,
here.
Chris, I do think with this song, with you being the first person to go, is actually going to help you.
Okay.
Boys, I'm just going to go ahead. My head's bigger than the size of this room. I am on a 5-0 hot streak.
He's on a heater.
I was buried in the dust, and I have stormed back up. All right.
All right, let's go.
You have. All right. Chris, theirs.
Pass.
Dave, there's a.
Pass.
Chris, there's a place.
There's a place down in Kokomo.
No, but great song.
That I wanna go.
Great song. Dave, there's a place of.
Pass.
Chris, there's a place of ocean.
There's a place off Ocean Avenue.
Oh, I knew it too.
Where I used to sit and talk with you.
I do it on the next one.
Yep.
Do you know
That's
who
correct.
sings that, Chris?
I
I mean, I'm giving it to you because you were right, but
No, I don't. Wait,
it's a yellow card.
play soft though. Yeah, knew that.
I was also very surprised when I looked up the lyrics of this, and there's a place of, not there's a place off Ocean
No, it's off.
Avenue.
It's off.
I'm looking at the lyrics right now.
They lied
Place
to
off
you.
Ocean Avenue, where I used to sit and talk with you.
Well, then
We were
Google
about
has a
16
typo.
and felt
No, I'm
so
just
right.
kidding. I'm just saying, like,
Sleeping
sometimes
all
when
day,
you like
staying up
make up
all
your own words.
night. I'm just gonna keep on singing it.
Great song, though.
Great song.
All right. So Dave with the 2-1 win. So we're sitting at Dave and Chris tied at 9, and me sitting in last at 8.
Dude, we could have a winner next. I guess I could win next.
Only
week.
you could. I could not win. You could win.
I feel like those were like two somewhat punk rock songs and then a hip hop song. Like that wasn't a wide variety of listening.
But like
you hyped that up
years
going
they
in.
varied. Like Michael Jackson's the 80s, Good Charlotte, and Ocean's Avenue. Those were
Pretty
around
close.
a similar
Yeah,
time.
very
But
close.
we
Yeah.
haven't really gotten to that realm of music yet. And then I slipped in an 80s pop song on you. So
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Take it.
I liked it. I liked the mix. Chris, next week you're gonna hit us with some craziness. I bet.
Yeah, I might even let you guys prepare. I think I'm gonna try and get some funk up in there. Something funky.
Ooh.
I don't know what that's gonna be yet.
we got the funk. Gotta
Something
have
funky.
that funk.
Ow.
Maybe
Something
Electric Avenue.
something like that, just in
Or
that
like
kind of
play that
realm in that
funky-
world. I'll just tell you guys what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do one funkish song. I'm gonna do
Okay.
one hard rap song, and I'm gonna do
Okay.
yeah, and then I'm gonna do one pop song.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Funk, hard rap, and pop. I'll start doing my research.
All right, I expect some Chameleonaire coming in hot next week.
Oh,
All right, boys.
a millionaire.
All right, hey, timing this week was almost
Yes.
exactly an hour.
Spot
Yeah.
on. Good work, boys.
Called
Good work.
punctuality at its finest.
Wow.
As always,
Electric.
that's nightly
That's
nonsense.
nightly nonsense.
That's
That's
some
nightly
nonsense. That's just it.
That's I'm a beautiful butterfly.
See
What
you.
are you saying? Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.